This is DDS. From the DDS studios, we are your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and from an undisclosed location in the man cave, it's Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Parker, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, just hunkering down, waiting for it to go from 65 to 15 and snow us in.
There you go, man. You never can tell here with Tennessee weather. But hey, thanks for joining us live here today, guys. We really appreciate you coming out to hang out with us today. We got a lot to talk about, dude.
Guess what team hasn't lost in weeks?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right there. Boom.
Oh,
momentum.
Just give them a chance. I promise you they'll find a way to lose. Yeah, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button for us on YouTube there. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. Comment below. Make this interactive for us. Again, we got a lot to talk about.
We do. We thank everybody for taking the time to join us live, or if you're catching this on YouTube after the fact, thank you guys for watching this. Today, Parker, we're loaded. We're going to get an update from you. We're going to talk about the Titans a little bit. We're going to talk about the Jags a little bit. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Your favorite.
Parker's favorite.
I love him.
Russell Wilson was traded.
Yeah, he was.
We have Carson Wentz was traded out of the
There
AFC
are so
South.
many moves going on right now. It's such a fluid situation. It's like the season never ended. It's just as exciting.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
He's gonna be chasing down folks in the West.
Absolutely. But hey, let's just jump right into it. Parker, I think you might have some updates here on this stadium thing. What do you got?
Yeah, this is massive news. I can't believe it's not everywhere, and I think it will be once people get through this boring video that I had to watch to figure all this out. But the Titans are looking to upgrade the stadium because of long-time pressure from the NFL. This is directly from the Titans. The Titans have been putting off upgrades over the years. They've been using a Band-Aid because they don't like the terms of the current lease. This was all from the Titans president talking to the Metro Sports Council. He said tons of things in this. The plan is to define a budget in the next few months and then figure out what will fit into that budget other than coming up with an idea for a stadium and then trying to figure out what that would cost. They said, quote, "This is a very basic building in the eyes of the NFL. When addressing food and beverage at the stadium right now, because those lines are awful, Titans pretty much just said, it is what it is until the infrastructure gets fixed." They were blunt about needing a major overhaul.
Jeez. So everybody's talking about it, huh? Everybody wants it. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what the Titans are wanting it. You know, when people ask them on the council, how are they going to pay for them? The Titans said a bunch of this would be converting 100 acres of dormant asphalt into money-making businesses is a big part of it. They don't want any increased tax dollars on anybody like that. But I thought what was odd enough about this was the Titans said FIFA actually would probably be more interested in the current stadium as it is today, other than a renovated stadium, because with renovations, stadiums are tending to get getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Right. Now I know you got Jerry World, and that would remove seats from it. And FIFA has the opposite model. They want as many people as possible. And this could be happening soon. Renovation was planned to be done in 2026. A new building would take about 31 months to build, after about 18 months to design. The Titans believe the finances and hurdles are cleared by this fall. A new stadium will be good to go by the 2026 NFL season. But again, they said the Bills are under the most pressure from the NFL to build a new stadium and expect that announcement to come any day now. And they use the word, we're going to be pushed up to the top of the Pez dispenser as far as pressure from the NFL to fix this stadium.
I got a question about the Bills.
Let's jump into that.
I want to ask a question about Bills and Bills Mafia. With this pressure on Buffalo, are they still using the whole Toronto thing to get this stadium done?
You know, I haven't followed it super closely lately. I think there's been so much going on with the Titans. But these new stadiums, if they do build them, the Buffalo one's 40 or 50 years old. The Titans president says these new stadiums aren't like they were when they built these in the 80s and the 90s, where you hope they last 30 years and you put Band-Aids on it throughout the year, that you should at least expect to get 60 years out of one of these new stadiums.
Jeez. I mean, let's be honest. It really is down to who has the worst stadium, the Bills or the Titans. Those are two pretty bad stadiums.
I mean, there's another one in the AFC South that's not too good.
Go ahead and say it.
It's the truth.
Go ahead and say it. I mean, is it? I don't know. We need a new stadium. We definitely do. I find it interesting that it's on everybody's mind. I just think that it could be such a big deal, a huge deal for Nashville.
And they want the Titans specifically said because of inflation that they wanted to get this done as soon as possible. At year over year, just whatever the price is, tack on 20% because that's kind of what it's gonna be. And another reason that it was so much more expensive to renovate than what they thought. They said when talking about security, the Titans said this is one of the bottom 20% buildings in the NFL when it comes to security. After 9/11, everything changed. We know that, right?
Right.
But Titan Stadium was built before that. So it kind of got grandfathered into these old security clauses, and they've upgraded that as much as they can about getting into the stadium in different senses, different things like that. So when they would renovate it, they would lose that grandfathered in, and they would have to update all those security things as well. So you have the concrete, you have security, you've got just utilities around the building that can't be expanded anymore. I mean, it would just be a complete and total gut job. They said renovating it was within a whisper of just building a new one.
Yeah, and you said what, 2026?
2026.
I mean, that, and we all know that, dude, that's a shot in the dark. I mean, there's always something that holds it up, and like you said, inflation, the way it's going right now, geez, whatever you thought it was going to cost, add a couple multiples there.
And another reason he wants to build a new stadium, or greatly hinted at, is because you would build it right next to the Titan Stadium as it is now, and you could still host FIFA. You could still host concerts and CMA Fest and Titans games. If you're renovating the stadium, you got to come up with chunks of time that you can do renovations.
Yeah.
And if you have thunderstorms or whatever in Tennessee, maybe hurricanes for all I know.
Snow tomorrow.
Exactly. You have that during those times of construction, then it gets pushed off even further. It could take longer to renovate a stadium than it does to actually, it would take longer to renovate a stadium than it would to just build a new one.
Before you guys move on to another topic, I've been listening to some of this talk, and there is some negative talk around Titans and the current stadium and how they've intentionally put Nashville in this situation right now, trying to talk about spending millions and millions, maybe the billions of dollars, for the fact that they built this current stadium basically with concrete, right, Parker? But it was built in such a way that it had to go fast to get Bud Adams and the group up here, right?
Yeah, the Titans admitted that today. That Bud wanted to come up here, that he fell in love with Nashville, and to get it done, the Nissan Stadium cost $167 million to be exact. Came in $3 million under budget, and a lot of that is because it was just like pre-poured concrete. They just tried to do it. He basically admitted it today without saying it. They did it as cheap as they possibly could just to get Bud up here.
Right.
I don't blame the state and the city for that. That's it's what it is. I think it is time to turn your eyes to the future.
Yeah.
Know the benefits that it would bring downtown. Gosh, the entire state of Tennessee. I mean, move on from the early 90s.
And there is another way they can help pay for it. We talked about tourism developmental zones. They are still going to use this excuse to try to change that around. But a major funding way for this, there's a NFL loan program called the G4. It's where visiting teams actually pay towards a new stadium. It actually can go up to $500 million depending on how much ownership puts in it. So used to be $200 million, but the ownership had to put in $400 million. I don't know what the new thing is, if they'd have to put in 900 or whatever. It was recently used to build SoFi. So the visiting stadiums, there's a budget for it that they help pay for it over, I think, 30 years. So it's just something else that they could explore. But they're pretty adamant about it's not costing taxpayers any additional money.
I just feel like we're gonna continue to add on to the story. Yeah. We're gonna have update after update. I mean, Parker's all over this. I think this is going to continue to get more and more interesting the more that we find out about it. And like you said, Parker, I can't believe nobody's really talking about it.
I honestly, I was watching the video, and like 20 people had watched it. No one's watched this thing. It happened yesterday afternoon. It's because, I mean, who's watching these council type meetings? They're so stinking boring. But there are some really interesting nuggets out in there. I mean, the Titans going on record and saying the NFL is pushing them to build a new stadium is big news.
Totally. All right. Well, moving on here. Let's talk a little bit about, the big news this week for Titans fans was Harold Landry's getting signed to his big deal. He got paid. Everybody thought he might get the franchise tag, but they actually worked a deal out with him.
I heard a lot of crying, Parker, whenever the the time for the franchise tag expired, and it made it look like, oh, the Titans aren't going to do anything. Oh, they're just going to waste a year for all the Titans fans.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, what were they doing the entire time?
They're making deals, man. They're not going to let one of their own guys go. We sat here and said this. You're not going to draft somebody. He did everything right. He plays in every snap. He's never hurt. You're telling me they're going to let that guy go? Never. It was never going to happen.
No. See, what did he get here? He got a 5-year deal worth $87.5 million with $52.5 million guaranteed. That's a big deal. That's a good deal.
It's cap friendly. This year is a little over a $5 million hit to the cap, which is nothing. I mean,
these
compared
days,
to other
nothing.
things.
The follow-up question is, can Harold Landry play quarterback? Because apparently that's the only position that matters.
Oh, good. Great. Well, hey, we're going to get into all this talk right here. I'm going to pull back on the reins here a little bit, big boy, because I know you want to go into it. Just pull right back. Jumping ahead of my list here. But while we're talking about quarterbacks, let's talk about Matthew Parker's favorite quarterback. And I don't mean Ryan Tannehill. I mean the quarterback that's up in Green Bay, Wisconsin right now. Aaron Rodgers is
still in Green Bay?
He is staying with Green Bay. Who knew?
Who knew?
Oh my gosh. But he bought a place here in Nashville.
Parker
Come
knew.
on.
That's who knew.
Yeah, everybody, since y'all invited me to come on here with you guys, I think the very first show we've said he's staying in Green Bay. It's all about money. He's not going anywhere. And that's the thing about him buying a place means he was coming here. Is Justin Timberlake going to be the next quarterback for the Titans? Like, everybody has a place here. Is Nicole Kidman going to be playing cornerback? I mean, is Bill Belichick going to be the new coach?
Nick Saban.
Exactly. It's going to be the greatest team in the history of time. Like, they just don't correlate. And I'm out there railing against Rodgers, not because I hate him. He's a great quarterback, but he's $200 million over 4 years. He's 38 years old. People look at him thinking, oh, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's playing until he's 44. He's great. I mean, that's the exception, not the rule. You can go down the list. Big Ben, arm done at 39. Elway, done at 38. Manning, 39. Marino, 38. This is when the decline happens, and they're going to be stuck with this paycheck or this salary cap hit for years to come.
So we need to be careful because the only source, Pat McAfee, says that the 4-year $200 million is not true. He says there is no deal.
Okay.
No deal.
It has come out since then that he has signed. Yeah, that was something
this was news. This was a video I watched of his yesterday.
I saw yesterday that, let me double check this.
He said no deal, but he's going to play in Green Bay this year. And while you're looking this up, I mean, this directly affected my team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, because guess who they franchise tagged? Devontae Adams. Of course, the Jags are going to load up the bank and give it all to him.
What was the meme that I saw that they're going to pay Aaron Rodgers $200 million? They're going to pay Devontae however many millions, and then they're going to pay the rest of the team in peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I mean they're just giving away the farm here, right?
You got to be careful with that $200 million. McAfee says it's not true.
Yeah, not.
I see that he signed it. I see that he signed it. The thing that he was I think was railing against that it wasn't signed because they were making a big deal of like, oh, it's not true, it's not true. I think there just wasn't pen to paper. But I believe that it has been, but I can stand to be wrong on that.
Is it one of those funny money things where it's 4 years, $200 million? Year one is 20, year two goes up to 40, but then he never gets to year 2, 3, and 4. One of those type of things.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the money's still there. Like it'll still be on the cap hit, like unless he retires, I think that doesn't work. But if they get cut or traded, we'll have to look. But the details aren't out about it yet, so it's just hard to tell. They're moving it around.
That means we have to talk about Aaron Rodgers again, Parker.
Oh, man.
Listen. I just got to say this. Aaron Rodgers in 2021, right? They played the 49ers in the playoffs, and they managed to score what? 10 points at home?
Oh.
The 49ers had the 5th least amount of interceptions as a team last year, the 3rd worst passing completion percentage against opposing quarterbacks, the 8th highest opposing quarterback rating. They gave up the 8th worst in 40-yard plays or more. They did a home playoff game. Queen Aaron Rodgers scored 10 points. And now he's the highest paid player in the NFL history. Go figure.
Oh my.
Was a Parker's power bomb.
Off the cuff. I mean, good grief. We always know how to get it out of him. We just bring up Aaron Rodgers and he just takes off with it.
Oh, wait, one more thing. One last thing.
Do
you know? This will stir some people up. Do you know who was alive to watch Aaron Rodgers last Super Bowl? Bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was alive to watch his last Super Bowl. And do you know who's played in a Super Bowl since Aaron Rodgers? Colin Kaepernick.
Oh my God.
Golly.
Well, Blake, we're going to be transitioning from one of his favorite quarterbacks to another one of his favorite quarterbacks.
We're going down the list here.
Go ahead. Russell
Wilson. He's leaving Seattle. He's heading to Denver. What do we think about that, guys? Is that a mistake on Seattle's part, or did Denver just hit the lottery here?
I'll go first. My take will be quicker, probably. I think that after 10 years, and what they got out of Russell Wilson, probably enough mileage. I think last year there was already some talk about maybe both he and the coach leaving. And so it's about the right timing here. I'm kind of surprised it was Denver, even though Denver was always linked to Aaron Rodgers for some reason. But looking at the trade, I don't have it in front of me. I'm sure Parker does somewhere, but looking at the trade, it feels like fair compensation. I mean, what they send Noah Fant and Drew Lock up there with a bunch of picks?
Yeah, they sent 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th. They're getting back a 4th, Noah Fant, Drew Lock, and a defensive player. I think they both won.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fair.
Yeah. I think they both won because, look, Seattle sucks now. They're not going to be any good for 3 or 4 years. So why keep the franchise quarterback? Go ahead, blow it up, get some picks. Because in 3 or 4 years, when maybe you've rebuilt the team, he's going to be done, right? So I think it makes sense for both teams. And I just don't want to – man, that AFC West is now the new NFC West. That is scary over there.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that right now.
If Seattle is open to trading, there's a little team down in Duval that has some draft picks that are looking at wide receivers. And I've said wide receivers. I think it's more economical to want to trade for Lockett. I've been saying DK Metcalf this whole time, but when I did some studying earlier today, Parker, Lockett, he still has, I believe, 4 years left. The next 2 seasons, he only accounts for $12 million combined dollars. It's like 3.5 and then almost 9 next year or 2 years from now. Not bad, I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't give away a 1st or 2nd round pick, but why not the first pick in the 3rd round for a 2-year Tyler Lockett?
I love Lockett. I think he's a great receiver. The only downside that you could argue about that is he had such a rapport with Russell Wilson. We haven't seen him without him. What does he look like without Russ? But I do love him, and I think they are shopping him. I have no clue what his price would be. He is getting a little up there. He's 29 years old. Mm-hmm. But I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in football, actually.
Well, you said they were shopping him. Does that mean is Seattle blowing it up? Are they just blowing it up?
Yeah,
it's got to be a yes.
I mean, it's what it sounds like. You gave away your franchise quarterback, and now they're shopping their wide receivers.
Oh, and not to mention they let go of their like a Hall of Fame linebacker this week too.
I mean,
Wagner.
Yeah.
I think Denver hit the absolute jackpot. That is my thought on this. I think Russell Wilson probably did himself a favor by getting out of Seattle because it just wasn't working. For whatever reason. I still think he is one of the more elite quarterbacks out there. He's just not had a chance really to do much in Seattle. Just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I love him. I would love to have him, but
absolutely, it just didn't make any financial sense for the team in Nashville here. So,
and that was my bad, Parker. I had forgotten that we were going to Russell Wilson. The whole thing about your second favorite quarterback is next on Blake's run list.
Oh boy, here we go. Now this right here, I can't tell you. I'm going to try to find the tweet, but Carson Wentz, no longer the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. He is now traded to the Washington Commanders.
Wow, good job.
You said Commanders. Yeah, I know. Everybody was listening to see if I was going to screw it up, but I didn't screw it up.
You said
I wanted to call them the Commandos there for a second. Yeah. But is this a good thing for Indianapolis, or does Washington feel like they got something here? Your chuckle there just says everything.
It sucks for everybody because now who's the starting quarterback for the Colts? Erlinger? Like, they have nobody right now. They don't have any picks because they gave up picks for Wentz. Only got 2/3 back for Washington. Does it feel like to y'all there's like these 3 or 4 quarterbacks, Foles, Wentz, that they just kind of go from one crappy team to another crappy team every single year?
Boy, but they fetch a lot of draft picks, man. Wentz, I don't know how many draft picks that guy has fetched. Nick Foles has fetched a lot of draft picks. And there's just not been any returns. Just ask Jacksonville. Did they get any returns for Nick Foles? No. Did the Bears? No. Did the Colts? No. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's going back to the NFC East, which I find kind of hilarious. They also be playing the Colts this year too.
Yep.
He's got the Colts and the Eagles twice on the schedule.
Is he even upgrade? Like, Tyler Heineke isn't good, but is he? Don't they just kind of feel like the same quarterback?
He's taller.
He's broken.
Yeah, Heineke's ankles are stronger.
I'm trying.
I'm it mentally.
There was a tweet by some folks that were in the Washington Commander fan group or whatever, and it was all like, what the fuck? And no.
Are you sure they weren't putting just WFT for Washington football?
No. It was absolute horror. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Really interesting move. What does this mean for Indianapolis? We're gonna get. We're not gonna spoil it yet, but we're gonna talk about it here.
But another thought about this is, it couldn't happen to a better team, Parker. I mean, you've got a GM. I bust on both of our team GMs all the time, but you have a GM up there that has no picks now, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
He's got no quarterback to show for this. He has no playoffs last year to show for this because the lowly Jags beat them. It's a bad situation, man. Are they going to get Brissett to come back up there from Miami? Are we going to see Marcus Mariota?
We're going to get into that, I'm sure, here in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, and I tweeted out, the one thing I love about it is it's karma. You had Peyton Manning for 400 years. Then you don't have Peyton Manning for 1 year, and you have a just god-awful year, so you fall backwards into the next best quarterback that's probably ever come out of the draft, and Andrew Luck. So you've had this unbelievable run for 25 years and won Super Bowl out of it. And now you're just stuck in purgatory with everybody else. So welcome. And I hope they're here for another 20 years.
Jeez. All right. Well, moving on here. Khalil Mack traded to the Chargers.
Does this just seem like, hey, the Chargers wanted to get in on some of this trade action out of the AFC West?
They took on his full deal, it says.
They're like, somebody got to chase down these quarterbacks.
Street from them, you know, they saw what the Rams did. The Rams went out and bought themselves a team that was going to potentially win the Super Bowl, and lo and behold, it happened. I mean, Parker talked about this months ago. He talked about this, that they were building something that was going to take them all the way to the Super Bowl, and they brought Matthew Stafford in to win.
And I'm not one to question Parker. He got it right, by God.
I know.
He said Rams, Titans, Rams win the Super Bowl, and holy shit, the Rams won the Super Bowl.
And the Titans should have been there, man. They should have been there.
Yeah.
Listen, if only we had Carson Wentz, we would have been there.
No, jeez. Now I just threw up a little bit in my mouth when I heard that. All right. Well, hey, let's move on to everybody's favorite segment here.
I did love this. I enjoyed watching this.
It's time for Real or Fake here on DDS Live.
I get to participate.
All right. Here we go. Parker, we'll start with you here, and we'll have the discussion afterwards here. Some in the local media claim that the 2022 Titans season is over already. Real or fake?
This might be one of the stupidest statements I've heard in local media in a while. I know it's off season; you got to make up stuff, but it's fake. This is the stupidest thing I've ever. Why play the season? This is kill yourself mentality. Like it means it just absolutely makes zero sense. If this was the case, why does Jacksonville ever kick off the football? Why does anything happen? It's over before it begins. What a sad way to go through life.
The little jab.
Why do you have to take jabs at my lowly team?
Just every now and then.
Easy. It's so easy. I mean, I don't understand the hate, the self-hate that goes on with some of these people. They claim to be fans. They get on here and they throw out these hot takes and then whenever they don't get every single one of the best players to ever play the game of football, it all of a sudden, then why do we even play? Why do we even play? It's like, good grief, guys. Sack up.
Well, I'll give you my opinion, real or fake. This statement, Matthew Parker, is fake. And let me tell you why. If a team like the Cincinnati Bengals,
yes,
can play an entire 17-game regular season, come into Nashville, they go on the road every single damn week of the playoffs and end up in the Super Bowl, you're telling me that a team like that can do it. But here in March, before the draft, before the season even starts, that the Titans season is over and will be a waste is completely fake.
I mean, yeah, how many people outside of the state of Ohio thought that the freaking Cincinnati Bengals were going to come anywhere close to sniffing the late into the playoffs anyway? Maybe they make it to the playoffs, but going deep into the playoffs, never even crossed my mind.
No, I got news for you. The people of the state of Ohio didn't think Cincinnati was going to do it. If anything, they thought Cleveland was going to do it. They had the wrong town.
Absolutely. Just hot take bullshit. That's all it is. Hot take bullshit. All right, moving on here. We're going to stick with the Titans here. Bradley, we're going to let you start off here. Todd Downing will be the 2022 Titans offensive coordinator. Real or fake?
I'm going to go real by title only because I don't know any better, but I think he will be the OC by title only, Parker.
Agreed. I think he's a run game OC, and Tim Kelly is going to be heavily involved in the passing game because it was just awful last year. They cannot let that continue.
Yeah, I think that they're letting him stick around exactly in the run game only as a courtesy, quite frankly. And I'm not a real big fan of kind of, loyalty hires and keeping people around just because you like them kind of thing. I really hope that this doesn't end up being an issue as far as who's calling what plays. I hope it doesn't end up being too busy for him, but I feel like it's real. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's in title only.
I will say, though, just to back Downing, I can't believe I'm saying that, but the run game was great last year. Derrick Henry went down, and we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, it was. The run game was great, even without Derrick Henry. You're absolutely right. All right, moving on here. We're actually going to go take a visit down south to Duval. The Jags placed the franchise tag on offensive tackle Cam Robinson. They will now for sure go with a defensive player with the number 1 pick. Real or fake, Parker?
Man, this is a tough one. I've gone back and forth thinking about this. I'm going to say real. I think it's going to be Hutchinson out of Michigan. What do? They just franchise tag their left tackle. The thing they could do is what Detroit did last year is they had a big time left tackle. They drafted Penny Sewell and they just moved him to right tackle. So that could happen, but I'm going real defense.
I never liked true or false questions in school. And I feel like this is kind of a stumpy one that may stump me, but will for sure go D. I mean, you know who the GM is there, right?
By the way, did you just say stumpy?
Stumpy. Stumped me. But we all know who the GM is there, right?
Yeah.
So when you ask the question, will for sure do anything in Duval? I got to go. It's fake, man. There's no telling what Balky's thinking.
I can't believe
he could draft his name. He could draft a punter, and it wouldn't shock me.
Nah, no. I just can't believe he's still.
I'm going fake.
I can't believe he's still in the facility though.
I would love Hutchinson there, but I gotta go fake, and I'm going with the odds that it could be anything at this point.
Bradley, how about this scenario? I thought about this today. So he's from like 20 minutes down the road from the Lions, and the Lions draft second. And supposedly they really like Hutchinson. What if Jacksonville's just like, we don't care. There's like 7 people we like. There's no superstar. What if they just move down to second and let Detroit come up and get their guy and get like a 4th round pick out of it?
Can't believe we're even talking about Detroit.
I mean, I'd hope they'd get something better than a 4th.
I mean, it was just one spot. I don't know. I was just,
Man, whatever. We're not even going to get into Detroit right now.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Moving on. Bradley, you're starting off here. Lamar Jackson has the most yards per rush among active quarterbacks in the NFL after this last season, the 2021 season. Real or fake? This right here, this is a true or false question here. I know the answer. Parker doesn't know the answer. There's been discussion. It's a teaser. Parker's going to be surprised. I can tell you that right now.
I'm not going to give away the answer because this was a question I wanted out there, but I'm calling it like it is. It's fake. And I'm going to give Parker the honors of trying. I will give you 2 guesses.
I think he could have 50 guesses and he wouldn't guess.
So we've thrown out 2 in the pre-show. Lamar Jackson, we've mentioned. We've mentioned Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
Both of which are in the top 3, but are not number 1.
So out of place.
The floor is yours, Parker.
Well, I was trying to think through this in my head, and there's obvious ones out there that run a lot. Like, Russell Wilson used to be a big time runner. And then I start thinking, just this question makes me think Aaron Rodgers, y'all would do this to me just for that. Because he does take off up the middle. So I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and active quarterbacks. Oh, man, since y'all say I have 50 guesses, I'll never get it. I'm trying to think of somebody just absolutely ridiculously obscure, and I'm going to go with Minshew Mania.
Oh, wow. You don't know how close
he was
you were.
Close.
I'm going to hold it up to the camera here. We'll see if you can see it or not. I don't know if it'll focus enough.
Is that Bortles?
That
is Blake the Snake Bortles. Looking as svelte and athletic as ever. He is the number 1.
At a minimum of 250 career rushes, Blake Bortles, 6.24 yards per rush. Lamar Jackson, 5.97. Marcus Mariota, 5.96. I mean, they didn't call him the BOAT for no reason. The best of all time. Just like all the others, he had a lead in the AFC title game before he got Brady'd.
Yep. We've seen that story too many times. All right, moving on to more quarterback news. Well, maybe. We don't know yet. Parker, Jimmy G will be the next Colts quarterback. Real or fake?
Real.
Oh, write it down, folks.
I'm just going to go with
your first. He doesn't need a source.
I'm just going to say, if it's not Jimmy G, it's going to be somebody that is Jimmy G. I mean, these like 9 quarterbacks are basically all Jimmy G, right? You got Jimmy G, Trubisky, Marcus, Winston, Bridgewater. I mean, they're just all crappier versions of Wentz. So I'll say, yeah, sure. It's going to be Jimmy G. I don't know what they're going to, I want it to be Jimmy G. I really do, because they're going to have to trade the very small things they have to be able to get him anyway. And he's going to stink, and they're going to have less picks. Even
well, you want to know why I want it to be Jimmy G? Because I saw the fear in his eyes when Jeff Simmons was breathing down his neck. And now Harold Landry is all fired up too. We got Big T-Air Tart, Pop Tart out there. Man, ready to go.
Again,
I'd love to see him.
I'm going with the odds, and I'm going to go fake.
Okay.
I'm just going to go with the rest of the field. Give me Trubisky.
Oof.
Nah, yeah, that's the smart thing to do. They shouldn't trade. I'm more saying real because I just hope they do.
Yeah. All right, Bradley, moving on here. Staying with the Colts. The Colts will make the playoffs next year.
This is fake because they got to play Jacksonville twice. Sorry, Colts. Fake.
They already got 2 losses there. Just
Yeah.
playing Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville beats them both times. You heard it here first.
I think Jacksonville is going to be a better team than the Colts next year.
I do too. I legitimately think that.
Well, then there's no way they make the playoffs, right?
Because we know they're not going to beat them in Jacksonville.
Parker's going fake. They haven't beat them in Jacksonville
what I mean.
since I was in diapers.
That's what I'm saying. We know they're not going to beat them there. So I think they're going to be a better team. And I think the Colts will end up being worse.
Jeez.
Their own players are tweeting out about this. Leonard, what's his nickname? Maniac? Not Maniac. I just forgot it. Anyways, their linebacker, their stud linebacker, even tweeted out, been here 5 years, 5 different quarterbacks. Good luck to you, Wentz. Even their own guys are saying stuff. Darius Leonard.
Yep. Sorry, Colts. Titans run the South. Sorry. Had to throw that in there. All right, sticking with more quarterback talk here. Parker, Deshaun Watson will play next year. Real.
We're gonna know today.
That's a good answer.
He's being deposed as we speak, and with the grand jury. How about this? If he doesn't play next year, he will never play again. Because if he doesn't play next year, it's because charges came up, and if charges came up, he's done. But I'm going to go out here and say, true. He's too talented. I think he's going to play next year. NFL overlooks a lot, so I'm going fact.
I'm going the other way.
Okay.
I'm going fake. I believe this has just gone on for too long. Something feels weird.
There's
about
something
this entire
there,
situation.
you think?
I think if there was nothing going on, gentlemen, that it would have been squashed last year at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going to be bad news today. Watson, I hate it, man. You're full of talent, but I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, he was legitimately one of the quarterbacks I hated seeing the Titans play, just because it just seemed like he picked us apart.
God, but when you had the great coverage on, he would just run up the middle, and you're like, Jesus, we had it covered perfectly.
All right, well, you said it. He was like Jesus.
Well, no, he wasn't.
Just apparently not. Now that we found out, I mean, that was really the disappointing thing is that there were all these stories about how great of a guy he was, and then you come to find out that might not be so true. So, very disappointing. All right, Bradley, we're going to leave the last one here for you. It was the right move for Dallas to let wide receiver Amari Cooper walk. Real or fake?
I'm going to go real. There are a lot of good wide receivers in this upcoming draft. They already are kind of loaded down there anyway.
They
right?
really are.
Wilson. We're not even talking about Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I think they franchise tag Schultz, maybe.
Yep.
They got Pollard coming out of the backfield. Zeke can catch the ball. I think that this is a good move by Dallas. Too much money for a simple wide receiver. I think it was the right move.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not knocking on Amari Cooper.
No.
He's a great wide receiver. I mean, but they just have so many with a surplus of weapons. I mean, do you really need to pay him that much to be able to get done what you do already? I don't think offense is their problem.
No, and they can take that money, like Bradley was saying, and split it up and pay Gallup and play Wilson, have them both back for less than you were paying him. And he is a good receiver, but I think that there's a team that he might land on that's somebody's a fan of here that would make a lot of sense. They have a ton of
Amari Duval. We're saying Amari Duval. Is that what we're saying?
They have a ton of money They need a big time receiver. I thought it was going to be Ridley, but obviously that's not going to happen.
No,
Somebody write that down.
that would have been the perfect Jacksonville move right there. They would have traded for him, and then one day later, he gone.
You know, I will say kudos to Atlanta. Did y'all see the report that came out about them people calling them trying to trade for him, and they were like, "Nah, we're good," because they knew what was coming.
They already knew what was happening.
Yeah,
Now, hey, that's pretty ethical. Thank you, Atlanta.
absolutely. Guys, that's all I got. What y'all got? Anything else?
I mean, I've got after this show, Trevor Lawrence's wide receivers include DK Metcalf,
Oh God.
Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper.
What else do you need?
Jeez.
Y'all heard Cooper's buying a home in Williamson County, so he's
Oh,
obvious.
boy.
He's obviously.
Yeah. I'm hearing Cooper to the Music City.
Don't you worry. For your authority on all Tennessee Titans offseason news, check out 102.5 The Game.
What the fuck ever.
He don't need any sources.
Whatever, man. We don't talk about that stupid
We should be
shit.
your source
Yeah, whatever.
of real news, no BS.
What a joke. Real sports talk. No BS here.
I have
Well,
not
that
heard
is-
anywhere else. I have not heard to pat our back a little bit. I have not heard anyone else say the NFL is putting pressure on the Titans to get the stadium done. It's been rumored, but to actually be able to say that like factually, that is from the Titans' mouth. I just think it's a huge deal, and I think it's gonna. I tweeted out. I think the deal is done. I think the deal's done. I really do. Not as fact pen on paper done, but like behind closed doors, this is happening.
Yeah. And we're going to continue to follow up with that with actual researched and verified facts because that's what we do. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know who we're talking to. Anyways, yeah. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us live here today. Really appreciate you, everybody that joined in. I think we actually had some folks watching today. Really appreciate that. Go ahead and check us out on DDS Sports Talk on Instagram, at DDS Sports Talk on Twitter. Go ahead and follow us on both Instagram and Twitter. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Look at that hat. Like and subscribe button there on YouTube, as well as leave us comments. They really like it when you leave comments down there. Helps the algorithm and all that. Guys, closing thoughts before we get out of here.
I'm going to say build it and they all will come to Middle Tennessee. Do it.
Yeah, the stadium's gonna happen. And hey, man, I'm just ready for free agency. Free agency hasn't even started, and this has already been wild.
Stay tuned next week right here on DDS.
Yeah, it's sure to be wild. Appreciate you guys being here. As always, two-tone blue all the way. You guys be well.